Hi, got a light. Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hi. I don't like my voice. Sorry. You look terrible. Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about my favorite houseplants of 2020. You probably saw my least favorite houseplant video of 2020. I also have one for 2019, so you can go check those out as well. But before we jump into it, pretty please like and subscribe. Maybe you've been binge watching my videos and you just forgot to hit that subscribe button. Welcome to the community. And you can join my YouTube memberships if it's up and running yet. It's probably not, but it could be, so check that out. I feel like my ponytail is just really lopsided. Let's jump into the news. These are no necessarily particular order. There is one plant that I don't have on this list, and that's because I just got it, which is my Ilsamanii, which is chilling like a villain right down here and up here and right here. And I don't feel like I've had it long enough to say that it was like one of my favorite plants of 2020. It definitely is, but it's not gonna be on this list, so. But it did get an honorable mention. All right. The first plant on this list is my Monstera albo, which is actually just out of frame. It's in that little rainbow pot right there. And the reason this one is one of my favorite plants, if not probably my very favorite plant of 2020, is it just felt so good. I love this plant so much. I feel like it is such a classic, and not just necessarily like Monstera albo, but like also my sport Monstera, I feel is just so amazing. And I feel like this year was the year of people going to big box stores and like sport hunting. And I think that that's really cool that we've been able to find these super expensive plants for incredibly low prices. And then this year I also purchased two other albos. One of them is a little seedling baby, and then the other one is also in this pot. It is from Botanica's, and it's still working on putting out a little growth point for me, so I'll just keep on patiently waiting. Okay, the next houseplant on this list is my Etherium quincy. And before I gush about this plant, I just want to make sure that you guys know to be very careful who you buy this type of plant from. My first Etherium quincy I got earlier this year, I think probably around March or April, and I bought it from my friend, that plant friend. And then after 2 months of having it, she reached out to tell me that she had learned, so she bought it from a guy who bought it from a guy who bought it from a guy, and it was recently found out that that guy had actually poached it, like the first one. She asked me to promise her that if I ever didn't want it anymore, that I would actually sell it back to her, and I've maintained that promise, but it's doing great, so I haven't needed to feel like I need to give it back. Quincy's are also an endangered species in the wild, and they're very popular right now, and they become very popular this year. I think they're running about $300 to $400 right now, versus like when I purchased it from Julia, I think it was maybe $100. And then I do have a second one, and it is because I've gotten Etherium quincy to grow really, really well, and a lot of people actually struggle with growing quincy, including like people who are really good at plants, and so I feel really lucky that I've been able to grow mine as well as I have. But someone saw a guy on Facebook was basically throwing his away that we think he probably ordered poached and didn't realize, because it came from Ecuador, it was imported, and it came with only barely an aerial root and a clean cut. So either a guy cut it from his garden in Ecuador, or he found it in the forest and cut it, but he was only selling it for about $30. The quincy was not popular at all. Literally no one knew what it was. Not no one, but you know what I mean. Like, it was not even remotely trendy. Like, unless you knew Etherium, you didn't know about the quincy, especially because it's corrugated and not velvet at the time. Like, I feel like corrugated Etheriums are like in right now, but at the beginning of the year, velvet Etheriums were in. A friend of mine reached out to me that someone was doing local pickup only, and that they were just trying to get rid of it because they were giving it the boot because it wouldn't grow for them. And I've talked about this a lot on my channel, which it literally disgusts me that you would like do something like that and import a plant and then get rid of it in a month, because that's literally what he said he was doing. He had it for less than a month. And TLDR, my friend reached out to me and said that they think that I should buy it and take care of it because I actually know how to grow them and keep them alive. And this specific one would probably proved to be pretty challenging because we knew it had just come from Ecuador, so it was gonna need to acclimate. And I'm very happy to say that I did decide to purchase that because I was concerned about what would happen if someone else did, and that it would just die and that it would all be for nothing. So he actually took care of the plant for me for about 4 or 5 weeks because I think there was like a cold front and it was not safe to ship even with a heat pack because it was used to like such tropical temperatures. And then I got it and it's actually putting out a new leaf right now. They both put out a couple leaves. It seems to be a plant for me that doesn't want to keep its old leaves around. After a couple months it'll let one go and it's putting out a new one. But please be careful who you buy these from, unless there's like a rescue situation like with what I did, where someone was going to just sell it to literally anyone who would take it and someone who would probably kill it because they didn't know it was an endangered species. That's a situation where I think it would be okay, but buying poached is never good. Etherium QTQNC is absolutely amazing. It is a green corrugated house plant, well, tropical forest plant. It comes from the cloud forests of Ecuador. And basically it's got like a 3-prong leaf and it kind of looks like salad hands if I'm being honest, and it has like a beautiful like black and like cream striped stem, and sometimes like the black stripes actually look kind of red. And I've been keeping it in the same mix that I bought it from Julie with, and I don't ever intend to sell them or give them to anyone unless for some reason it was seriously dying and I needed emergency help to save it. But I feel really proud of my QTQNCs and keeping them safe and being able to educate other people about the QTQNC and why it is. You really need to be careful who you buy them from. The next plant on my list is Etherium warocquianum, and that is because this is such an amazing house plant. I bought my first one at the beginning of this year and they weren't so expensive. I think I spent only about $100 or something, maybe. Now they're about $300 to $400 houseplants, which again is really frustrating, but they are absolutely incredible looking anthuriums. They have this beautiful dark leaf, just like such a dark leaf, and this amazing like silver veining down the front, and they're just so beautiful. I actually had one and I sold it to my friend Heather. Heather's Hoyas, you should go check her out. She has a YouTube channel. And I was able to get another one shortly after that, and I was able to find it for only $40 during the time that warocquianums were about $300, because my friend Max hooked me up and he found a listing because it was a rehab. The guy thought it was gonna die, the leaf was turning yellow, probably was gonna die in shipping, but it was $40. So especially for a plant that had become so expensive. I bought it and the green came back because I took care of it, and it has a second leaf now and it's loving life again inside my Botanica's lead head terrarium. The next plant on my list is the string of hearts. I feel like this was my plant of 2020 next to the Monstera albo, and that's just because I have had so many of them and I've had such good success with this plant. I have 5 of them in my house right now. This plant is just so easy to grow. As long as you give it good light, it's going to love life, and it's easy. You water it like maybe once every 2.5 weeks, 3-ish weeks, and it just does its thing, and you just sit back and you watch it get so long. And if you want it to grow faster, you can give it like a cute little haircut. Yeah, I don't know, string of hearts is just so amazing and beautiful. I don't like the seed pods. Whenever they put out seed pods, which I've been so lucky that mine haven't done that, because honestly it like triggers me, but like whenever they put out the seed pods, they look like these big old long things and it kind of freaks me out. Just a tad. The next houseplant on this list is Philodendron adibapoense, and I would say that this is kind of like a plant that's left over from 2019. This houseplant is just one of my very favorites. I have like 5 of them. A couple of them I'm propagating right now and growing into their own special plants, but I also have all the adibapoense hybrids. I have the Adibabili, the Adibapoense billieti, and I have the Mexicoense, which is like the Mexicanum Adibapoense. I just like to like hybridize their names. I think it's fun, like put them together. I love them. I absolutely adore anything Adibapoense. It is so hard for me to walk away from one if I ever find one in person. I saw one recently, probably like a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, at the Potted Elephant in Oregon, and I didn't buy it, and I honestly regret it. It was a Mexicanum Adibapoense, and oh my gosh, bro, excuse me, I don't know, just like the way that it's just, the leaves are so long. They're so effortlessly long and they're so easy to grow like that. And the back of the leaves are like this marbled red pink. And then you get pure Adibapoenses, and it's just this straight long leaf. It looks so much like an immature Sancti, so similar. Growth pattern is completely different, but like the leaf, oh my gosh, it is such an amazing house plant. I got my first one in 2019. It was 7 leaves tall and I got it for like $40. in Portland. And same thing with the next one I got. I think it was maybe like 80 bucks. And slowly over the last couple of, well, I guess the last year, it has just like gone up in price so much. The next plant on my list is the Staghorn fern, and this is like self-explanatory. How could you not love this plant? There are so many different species of Staghorn fern. My favorite being the Platycerium grande, which is the type that I got at Orchid Dynasty, and they're just so good. There's also these other ones that like, there's this Madagascarian one where it has like these huge like divots in them and it looks so good. And then there's the baby Platycerium grandes, which look like little lily pads and they're so cute. Honestly, they're just like the easiest fern to take care of and they're fuzzy, so it's like, how can you go wrong? The next houseplant on my list is the Hoya monoloa, and I feel like this was the Hoya of 2020 next to the Hoya polyneura slash fishtail Hoya. And I feel like people were finding the reverse variegated Hoya carnosa compactas, which is the monoloa, at Walmart, at Lowe's, at Home Depot, and people were just finding them everywhere. And it felt like a discovery that like the plant community made, even though it's not really technically a discovery. But it was just so fun. And now the prices are finally going down on them, which I really appreciate because I love them and I want so many. I could have like 50 monoloas in different pots and it wouldn't be enough. They are probably one of the most beautiful Hoyas, period. The next houseplant on my list is Hoya velosa cow dong, which I think is probably I know it's my second favorite Hoya, and this is the Hoya that everyone thinks is Hoya globulosa. Hoya globulosa is a completely different Hoya. It's kind of like how everyone got the Burtonii and the Bilobata confused. The Hoya velosa cow dong is this beautiful Hoya. I have two versions of the velosa, and the cow dong is just like, it's got these super like straight edges and they kind of like edge off into a teardrop shape. They have super deep veins with like a lime green background and it's just beautiful. And the leaves can get so massive. It's hard to tell which between the monoloa and the cow dong are my favorite, but they're definitely my top two Hoyas. The second to last houseplant on my list is the Philodendron mikins, and this was like a huge plant on my wish list for me this year. I have been actively seeking it out all year, and I have a couple behind me. Like there's one up here and then there's this one which is right here, and I never turn them down whenever they show up. If I see a mikins, I buy a mikins, and I just feel like it's because their prices are just becoming so expensive right now that if you can find them in person and bring them back to your house, like you're pretty lucky, especially if you can find one in general. They're even hard to find on Etsy, so I love mikins. I will never not buy one if I see one. My last favorite houseplant of this year was the Alocasia silver dragon, and that is strictly because I have like 5 of them now. So at the beginning of this year, Ill Exotic sent me a fun little package of a couple Alocasia silver dragon bulbs, which I've successfully grown into 4 different Alocasia silver dragons. And then this year I bought 3 of them at different places in Portland because everywhere had them and we kept finding them for lower and lower prices. We were like, oh, okay, so that is a good deal. But then we got to the point where we found one for like 60 bucks and I'm like, well, I'm a fool. I should have just bought 3 here instead of like 1 at each houseplant shop I went to. But I think that the frosted look with the red veins is like the sickest looking houseplant ever. Like there's pretty houseplants and glorious houseplants and velvet plants, but like in category of sick, it's definitely the Alocasia silver dragon. That is my list for you. I hope that you enjoyed this list. Maybe I opened your mind to a few houseplants that you just didn't think about so much before. These are definitely my top 10 favorite houseplants of 2020. I'd love to hear what your favorite houseplants of 2020 were in the comment section down below. And thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and tweet me at PlantMeAshley. Follow me on Instagram at PlantMeAshley, and like this video if you haven't yet, if you just forgot to. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. But yeah, I hope that you have a really great night. I might have YouTube memberships, so maybe check that out if that's up. I have merch you can check out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next houseplant section. Goodbye. Bye.